The youth want to work, they just can. June 14, 2024. As of the beginning of 2024, outcry has emerged among taxpayers over the excessive use of the benefit system by young people. The outcry has been as expected from the baby boomers, which is taking the easy route of blaming young people for being lazy and lacking discipline, without actually analysing the deeper problems affecting young people. We can see this reflected by politicians who threaten to cart off children to their death in foreign wars, who spout platitudes about getting young people back into work, but never actually do anything to allow that to occur, for example, freeing up the market and regulations, which stop young people from getting into work and pursuing entrepreneurship. The truth is, young people do want to work. In fact, they want nothing more than to work. They want nothing more than to contribute to society in a strong and meaningful way, on their own terms, in a truly free and self-sufficient way. But there is where the problem lies. Due to government money printing and over-regulation of the free market, opportunities for young people dwindle, leaving them only to ever hope for working to produce someone else's company and someone else's dream. To be stuck in a 9-to-5 for the rest of their life, working to build someone else's dream, and leaving their entire 65 years of working with nothing to show for it but a pittance of a state pension which barely covers the basics. In truth, what young people want is economic freedom, something which to this day has been nearly obliterated by the state. Young people live in a perpetual prison of bureaucracy, either under the foot of the state at the hands of the benefits and welfare system, or under the prying eyes of a corporate boss who sees them as nothing more than a dollar sign. Working a 9-to-5 has never been the dream of any one person. Instead, when people are children and thinking about their life, they dream of aspirational goals, to be an astronaut, for instance, or to start their own business. But throughout the 19th century, working a 9-to-5 has been seen as a necessary evil, one which was encouraged in school and by parents. This makes sense given that throughout the 1970s, one could easily own a house and a car by the time they were 20 years old. However, this utopian dream of the white picket fence and suburban life has quickly died upon the altar of government money printing and economic mismanagement. Now life for young people, true life that is, in a sense true freedom, is completely dead, and no amount of back-breaking work or college degrees is ever going to free young people from their economic prison. The economy as it stands means that the average amount of time someone has to work in order to ever own a house is exactly 25 years. We spend 1/3 of our lives asleep, which is already a dramatic amount of time wasted, adjusting that to the average lifespan, which is about 60 to 80 years, and then add on top of that the 65 years you will work in a job which you most likely hate. The problem is young people are fully awake to this depressing reality as they have grown up in an environment where they are exposed to the damaging effects of living such a life. Many young people my age would have heard their parents say that they wish they could have done more with their lives, or would have seen arguments break out over finances, or in the worst case scenario, could have been exposed to marriage breakdown, and not only that, they would have seen how despite working all the years since that young person was born, those parents still have nothing to show for it, and worry about money day in, day out, and the little money they do make, almost half of it is confiscated by the hands of the state in the form of income or council tax. The real tragedy is the fact that many of these parents dreamed of giving their children the lives they never had, and in most cases they were unable to. That's not to mention the dreams and aspirations they have had to give up in order to take care of their children. So after being exposed to all of this, why on earth would any one person belonging to the younger generation ever want to work a conventional job? The post-war dream is dead, and it died a long time ago, and they can see this. This leaves two routes most young people go down. The first is one of self-destruction and welfare slavery, remaining for their entire lives subservient to the state and stuck in the welfare system, destroying their mind and bodies with drugs and social media. This is, however, not directly the fault of these young people. They have been conditioned by the state and the education system to live this way. They have been told from day one that they can be children for their entire lives and never have to grow up, and that the system will always provide for their every need. Schools constantly condition them to believe that all that matters is a piece of paper, and that all that life is about is pursuing short-term pleasure. We can see this demonstrated in such empty platitudes as being told constantly that they are perfect the way they are, and that if society rejects them for who they are, it's society's fault and not theirs. They are never warned that at some point the ever so pervasive and nannying school and college system will eventually drop them, and that they will have to choose their own path for themselves and grow up. The school system sells them lies and then chucks them off of a metaphorical cliff edge and right into the deep end. A young person who has never been taught to think or do for himself, suddenly being in a position where he has to, leads to what you would expect, which is a desperate search for meaning in any form, be that drugs, alcohol or pornography, usually accompanied by promiscuous, meaningless sex, as the idea of forming a true relationship has also been beaten out of them in school, as traditional relationships are seen as antiquated or in some way oppressive. However, some young people take the much more healthy route and use the extraordinary access we have to modern day tools to separate themselves from the state and forge their own path through the use of social media or other money-making schemes such as cryptocurrency, and some even go on to start successful businesses where they are their own boss, a theme which in the coming years will become more and more common, that is of course if the state doesn't totally legislate against it, which unfortunately is a distinct possibility. In short, young people do want to work, but they want their work to be meaningful and for themselves, and be able to show themselves and others the fruits and accomplishment of said labour, not just working as a worker bee to build someone else's dream.